How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another Bitcoin update. In yesterday's video, we spoke about potential 140 to 160k targets out of this fractal, but it's also suggesting a pullback from this location. Let's zoom into that area because I can actually give a very pinpoint level of resistance that, if broken, will trigger a further move up into 100k, and we could potentially avoid this move down towards 90. So if we zoom into that resistance on the 1 hour time frame, I did of course share this all in yesterday's update, but nothing has actually changed from that point. There was somewhat of a rejection, it bounced back up. It really is just ranging, deciding what its next move is. What I must say is that there is a bearish pattern currently formed. It is not yet valid. The neckline, this yellow dotted line, needs to actually get broken, but we're also not getting that continuation. There have been many attempts here, and in the last few hours attempting to break this key level. Previously, when getting into there, it's brought new lows. After that, we created the neckline to form this right shoulder of this head and shoulders pattern, and on this right shoulder, we've consistently shown this 95.4 to 95.1k area as resistance. So really, for me to get quite confident that we can avoid that dump, I need to see 95.4k recovered. Again, we can currently see this is the ultimate resistance. We're going to see characteristic changes once this is broken. So my expectations would be all of these micro fib targets, because remember, we're zoomed in on the 1 hour time frame, and if we were to now zoom back out to the daily time frame, we can see something called confluence. It's just multiple things in alignment with each other, just giving you that extra confidence. Now, if you did want to get educated to learn all of this, make sure to use the links down below to head over to the website, and you can of course see not only are the micro fibs saying break that area, we're targeting these levels, the macro fibs are suggesting break 95.7, we're heading to 101k. So that's my expectation. I'm very cautious around that level over there. There have been examples in the past year where we've seen what looked like a bottom, the moving average has recovered, so everything's suggesting that it's bullish, runs into the 886 and puts in a new lower low, and then the same thing once it's found a new bottom. We're recovering the moving averages, we're forming these bullish crosses. Everything is saying I should have a bullish bias, but I'm always going to view things as a range, anything as a range, and I'm waiting for that 886 to break, because going back to last year, I've shown two examples within this correction where that could have been the bottom. We could have seen 80, 90, 100k off of this 60k low, but it decided to reject the 886, put in a new low. Once again, this could have been the bottom, as all moving averages are recovered. We're getting bullish crosses. This is a suggestion we should have bullish bias, and then we should see 100k eventually. Failed once again. So I'm always just going to wait until that 886 is broken. Look, with that new low, once again, getting above the moving averages, forming these bullish crosses, but then all these bullish signals failing, not sustaining through the Fibonacci golden pocket, the 886 fib. At some point, it will break through, and that's what I'm personally waiting for me to use this signal as a trigger to trade alts aggressively. Until then, I'm not going to be touching, just simply because any weakness will ruin the portfolio once again. If you want to keep up to date with all my personal moves, check out the Discord community, or if you've got any questions that you want answers to, I've got a Discord where I do live streams, or I've got one-to-one mentorship plans. Once again, the current explanation from this and last video is that while under 95.4 and the macro level 95.7 maintain resistance, there is the utmost chance of getting a rejection here, especially due to the fact we see a 1 hour time frame head and shoulders pattern. So unless that 95.4 and 95.7k is broken, this is actually going to see Bitcoin dipping back down towards 92k. Of course, we don't want that to be the case. For people in altcoins, I personally don't mind getting Bitcoin cheaper for longer. All I know is that this is a trigger for a bullish bias in between 95 and 100k, which is where I'll get cautious once again, due to those previous examples over the past year where we've seen moves up into the 886, still afterwards followed by new lower lows. So I don't want there to be a case where we see Bitcoin at 105k and then sub 75k. That's why I'm going to remain cautious, and I'm not going to touch alt until I have that full confirmation that level is broken, because previously when Bitcoin had broken that level in the past, this 886 area right over here, we can see the consequences of that. We went ahead and met all of these Fibonacci targets up here, just slightly missing the final 2414, but you can see on the break of the 886 there was a trigger for further moves up, and we didn't have that as the case on this initial dump here. If I broke that, we'd expect almost 100k already by that point. Same thing once again, could have gone up to 105k from there, went to new lows as low as 48k. So big difference. It was at 71, 72, could have decided to go to 100, chose to go to 48. So that can all happen even with this move up. Global M2 says otherwise. Global M2 says this is our expectation, and that's why the video from yesterday was speaking about this 140 to 160k target. All we're personally waiting for is whether the dip comes from here or we push one more time and then have to be cautious around this area due to what has happened at the 886. Historically, as soon as that's broken, oh my gosh, I'll be the most bullish out of all of you, because I know the consequences of that move. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Make sure on your way out to support the channel, like, subscribe, comment, and share the post. It really does help bump up the algorithm. If you want to get educated, I've got an ebook/course on the website, on top of having chances to ask me any questions and get them answered, whether it's through one-to-one mentorship or my live streams found in the private Discord. Cheers. Links down below.